Welcome back, guys, to the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where last episode, with Gina's pup Toby having found Enoch Drebber's workshop, we headed over to investigate before the forensic team's arrival, hearing a noise in a locked-back room that the accompanying Sherlock Sholmes opened in seconds, to find a room in complete and utter disarray, and not a soul to be found. With Sholmes postulating that a switch in gravity caused the scene in front of us, with the suspiciously bomb-looking device in the room's center to blame, we started a great deduction, and now correct its second part regarding the missing engineer to uncover the real truth. Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madame. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. What am I looking for here? I think I've seen it, to be perfectly fair. But that's even more confusing, surely. What? This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yes, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. A green gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me? If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too. Look. Oh yes, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look! Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid. I mean, to get it back down. It's a ball, right? You gotta throw your shoe at the ball to get it from out the tree, except, yeah. I'm assuming the footprints are just a really, really, really thrown shoe.
Take that!
Like, super really thrown. Make that imprint. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. It must be a very dirty shoe. But for what purpose? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. Ah! It was a piece of green balloon's envelope that Mrs. Nalahodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say... If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there is a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Ah! Most probably Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground? Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well. True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? What, you just want me to straight up pop it? Oh, I guess I don't have the arrows, right? Let's just shoot it down then.
Take that!
That'll get a balloon. We know what happens after all. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact. And in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing his shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? Ah! What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model. Does that mean... Oh, goodness! I see you've joined the dots, Miss Susato. Excellent. Ah, of course. A headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you'd largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous Professor. Yes. But why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the Professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning it sans tête earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Hairbrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. So we have the waxwork head entered into the court record, which we'd love to open up somehow, please. I want to see what the professor looks like. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction, Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room. So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the...
Take that!
Of course it is. So you gotta hope it doesn't close when he closed it. Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here, which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe, and pressed for time made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process, from which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe, which is indeed unlocked. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Our missing engineer hopefully has room to breathe. Elementary, you say? We've got the combination at least, so no matter what, we can open it. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 1432 I knew that! Alright then, here goes. I only have to look to my left. Also, guys, can we deal with the bomb? You found me. No. Oh, he's landing next to the bomb. What? He's a breakdancing clockwork man? Ah, poppin' locking. Body poppin'. What on earth? Hi. Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume. Correct. You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain in with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tuspel's as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Ah! I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then. No! Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist. Phew, I wasn't pushing, Mr. Sholmes. Right, I've no clue what kind of a voice to give this guy, so I guess normal voice for now until he maybe has a peep. But he's just too shocking, less for any voice or anything else but his body popping. It's crazy. Okay then, what happened here even though we kind of deduced that? What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Drebber. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop that I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling? Ah, that would have been me. Oh! For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly I must have a screw loose though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I'd hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So, I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. Do you think you could survive inside the safe? Were you confident? Got a dash wish, have you? I'm right beside a ticking time bomb. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion will leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. But once you'd climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. Ah, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans. Do you mean to say You were planning to blow us all up! No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah. I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. But what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition. And the waxwork model you stole which his head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, Judo. That's the head of the Professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I'd be considering carrying it around as protection. After all, that's enough. What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Yeah, well, Dr. Sive again. So the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once. My dear madame, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Sife? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Sife. If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell, you... Get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo! Yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes! Let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out. Now! All of you! Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb saying here. This lot disarmed. Spectre! Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Drebber? Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. What are you? That one? Yeah, you mean? Oh no. No one's up there. Oh, Bobbies! It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. Well, we can't end it there just now. We need to know what happened. Because with an investigation possibly ending, that means we go to trial. On the 24th of October at 9:11 a.m. in the Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. So he's just committed murder of policemen, hasn't he? If they died. Good morning to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings? I hope so. I should be. Even I, with nothing left to... Good morning, my dear fellows. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here. Why, naturally. A true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll see you later then. Now, Professor, we really need you to remain calm in the courtroom today. Yes, do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited again. Yes, I will. I realize it was a mistake, but my dear fellows, I must interject. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter? Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? To be cast in my direction, Sorry, I don't follow. Must I spell it out? I, the great Sherlock Sholmes, the greatest detective of worldwide acclamation, arose at some ungodly hour to be here now, first thing in the morning. A miracle, you must agree. Well, if I must agree, then... As you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. I just had to employ her full gamut of tactics. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both cheeks, punched me, and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured a boiling cup of her latest experimental blend on my face, and at last I was bestirred. Oh my, Iris has been busy. Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. She's too nice. I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist, one who relishes the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I'm the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory. Sorry to cut in. Sorry. I have something in my throat. Oh, Inspector Gregson, good morning. Gregson, my dear fellow, why the grim expression at this delightfully early hour? I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grimmer expression, eh? Dear me, are you going to take that insult lying down, Professor? What? I don't know! Poor Professor. Anyway, here's the paperwork you asked for. What paperwork? I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I have a feeling it may prove useful. You wouldn't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out of the archives. It's the professor's autopsy report. That mass murderers? Who killed 5 members of the aristocracy? He was found guilty in a closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he was quickly executed soon after the trial. It's all in here. The killer's autopsy report has been entered into the court record. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector. I think we should check that out, because that sounds incredibly interesting, considering this guy literally came back like, is that the last evidence, or is it just because it neatly lines up now? Condemned prisoner. Aha. Redacted for confidentiality was the name. Pseudonym the Professor. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th of June. Obviously, a little bit of a failure. Cody Stevens. Bum, 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 bum. I see where that leads. Yes, much obliged, Gregson. This lowly lot of the yard are just doing what we can. In the shadow of the great Detective Sholmes, of course. Well then, Professor Harebrain, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to rest at last. I wish you the best of luck, Professor. I suppose he'll be in there today, will he? Drebber. Yes, we expect the prosecution to summon him as a witness. I'm still amazed that you managed to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much. Counsel and the defendant. The trial is about to resume. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. This is it then. The final chapter. Funny, my heart's racing a little. I've not felt this before, actually. This strange foreboding. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. But I can't let that distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth. We're literally going into a place where we know someone who makes bombs is. This trial worries me.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the public hearing of Albert Harebrain, here present, who stands accused of murder. Are the counsels for the prosecution and defense ready to proceed?
The prosecution is ready, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. Can I have Sisto to the other side so we can be symmetrical? As promised, Lord Van Zeeks has his apprentice with him. His apprentice with memory loss.
If I may, Lord Van Zeeks.
Yes, my lord.
There appears to be someone standing at your side.
Ah, yes, my apprentice and assistant. The prosecution believes today's proceedings will see the complexity of this case rise considerably. I therefore instructed my assistant to attend to assure the smooth running of the trial. And the smooth running of liquid refreshments, by the look of it. The way he holds himself, the way he moves, it couldn't be anyone else. But he's still suffering from amnesia, so there's really nothing we can do at the moment. I know, but... oh, this is so very hard.
It would appear the prosecution has done a fine job in responding to the demands the court made yesterday. Hey! I understand you have successfully secured the engineer who disappeared from the scene on the day in question.
Yes, my lord. I intend to call him as a witness shortly.
Very good, very good. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who have been chosen as random to represent the will of the people in this courtroom today, are you ready and willing to proceed?
Of course, my lord. I'm sure we all understand the importance of doing our civic duty. I do so despise deception and deceit. I find it so very wearing. To take a man's life with a conjuring trick, it is against the magician's code, not to mention the law.
Any fixed scientist should feel the wrath of God, if you ask me.
That's an interesting sentence. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and, then settle on one. That's it, isn't it?
Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. If all parties are ready to proceed, you may begin, Lord Van Zeeks.
Before I do, my lord, there is a report I must read to the court. Yesterday, at the Great Exhibition Grounds, the evidence of primary importance in this case, the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine, which was installed on the experimentation stage, was deliberately destroyed in an explosion affected by an unknown person or persons. It was...
What? An explosion? This is an outrage! Yes, I heard this grave news yesterday. Scotland Yard submitted a report to my office in the evening. I read that the machine was blasted to smithers, and the wreckage reduced to ashes in the flames.
I have here a photographic print of the scene taken in the wake of the explosion. It shows what little remains of the machine.
Ah, yes. A terrible business.
It does? He did this to destroy the evidence, did he? That Enoch Drebber.
The court will take this print as evidence, counsel.
The post-explosion photograph has been entered into the court record. Late yesterday afternoon, the protection afforded to the machine by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act was revoked. However, before a thorough investigation could begin, the invention was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. As it stands now, with no evidence on which to draw meaningful conclusions, the authenticity of the Kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity.
Indeed. A most unfortunate state of affairs.
However, one thing remains clear. The victim's death was a result of the actions of the accused. Of that we can be certain. For it was the accused himself who was operating the machine, and who ultimately caused its loss of control. So they remain with him, despite the fact they literally know there's a bomber. But that picture we just received, is incredibly suspect as well. I guess we'll find out more and probe into this further next time on the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, as we're about to get our first testimony of Enoch Drebber most likely hitting the stand shortly. I'll see you guys next time for that to happen. Bye-bye.